opportunity for us to be here, so I appreciate it. So I work for Fabric. We do micro-fulfillment through an automated robotics solution, which we'll show you some video of that. Oliver, I'll let you introduce yourself. Hold. And then Danny, I'll let you introduce yourself. And then Oliver is an expert in the robotic space, so he's going to give us an overview of the space, followed by a discussion. We're going to have a little chat. And then Danny is going to share more about what he does. Okay, so Oliver, a brief introduction.
Sure. You know what, Ann?
Yes.
Why don't I just go into a deck that can introduce myself and robotics?
I love that.
Okay.
Great.
How's everyone doing this morning? Okay, excellent. Sounds really enthusiastic out there. So what I thought I'd do, with Anne-Marie's permission, is tell you about robotics.
Permission granted. We're keeping
Awesome.
the show on the road. I like it.
Awesome. There we go. Talk about robots and humanoids at retail in under 10 minutes. So a little bit about me. This is great because none of the images are loading. So this is why you always need to do an AV preview. So if the logo was up there, you'd see that I'm with FFVC. And we're a venture capital firm in New York. We have about $180 million under management. We have a number of robotic companies. I'm also affiliated with NYU Stern, where I mentor companies in the Endless Frontier Labs. I write periodicals on my blog. I'm whimsically called the Robot Rabbi, but my articles are featured in the Robot Report and others. And I host events on Meetup Robot Lab. Tina, can we fix the AV situation here? Thank you. Okay, this is going to be very difficult. Anne-Marie, I have a suggestion. I'm going to run to the other side and give him my laptop while you do a little introduction about Fabric.
Absolutely, great. So, it's fun being in technology. One of the things is getting it to work, as we all know, for technologists in this room. So, I recently joined a company called Fabric, which Laura mentioned and Oliver mentioned. So what we do is micro-fulfillment. Does anybody know what that is? Great, that's my perfect audience. So we have disrupted supply chain. So the idea with micro-fulfillment is to bring the goods closer to the people. So what we did was create it's a Tel Aviv-based company. We also have headquarters in New York. In October, we announced a Series B where we raised $110 million, bringing our full raise to $140 million. It was very exciting. So we have our whole R&D. We've got about 150 people in Tel Aviv, where some of the best brains are developing hardware and software in the space. So what we do in New York then is the 110 has allowed us to expand in the United States. So it's very exciting. And the idea is to bring the goods to the people. In order to meet demand, Brendan was talking about it earlier, right? Consumer demand is, the expectation is that you get the goods to them same day or faster, right? Next day isn't good enough. 2-day isn't good enough. So same day or faster is really what we specialize in. So we have 2 ways of providing that service. Through the automated, we're going to play a video for you in a few minutes, but you'll really get an appreciation for it, is that through that automated process, we're able to create an efficient picking goods to person single pick process. So if you put your order in as a consumer, we can pick it individually and get it out the door quickly and efficiently. In addition to that, we are able to help retailers and brands deliver those goods and services, one, through their own network, so using their current real estate and putting the solution into that current real estate, or what's uniquely disruptive also about what we do is that we own and operate real estate ourselves. So we'll be having our first site coming out of the ground in Brooklyn, and that allows a retailer to get up and running very quickly and easily and fluidly, so that you can just plug and play, essentially, and become competitive immediately in the on-demand space. So it's a very exciting proposition about what we're doing. The other piece is what makes it uniquely different. There's really 2 things, is that we're able to fit in small spaces. So for a distribution center or an automated warehouse to be able to do that, that's very uniquely different. So we don't have conveyor belts or anything like that. So we're able to fit in 2 spaces as small as 6,000 square feet with a ceiling height of maybe 12 feet. So that's one of our sites actually in Tel Aviv is in an underground parking garage. So it's pretty remarkable and very impressive. So it's both for groceries. We do ambient, chilled, and frozen goods. So that's a little bit of Fabric. So how are we doing on this? Because we can just toss to Danny and he could tell us about what he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah?
You ready or?
Yeah. The first rule about robotics, as you know, Anne-Marie, is a backup plan. So,
We like built-in redundancy, which we've successfully done here. Wonderful.
So, do you want me to go through a quick overview on robotics?
Absolutely.
And then we'll go to. Okay, so where were we? Here we go. So, I was talking about our events. If you're in New York, you can go to our events, meetup.com/Robot Lab. That's the plug. The first thing, as innovators and investors in robotics, we have to really look at is separating sort of hype from reality. You know, we've had lots of peaks and valleys of disillusionment within robotics, and this is sort of the timeline since World War II. Why is today different? Well, today we're creating and collecting an immense amount of data, and that data is now publicly available via the cloud. And what's more is sensor costs are declining, which makes hardware finally affordable to be at retail, to be in the warehouse, to be across a multitude of verticals. So, and you're going to talk about Android chatbots on the computer. This is actually an Android robot being used in Tokyo. I don't know how many people have been to Eureka Park and seen the Android anchor TV woman, but is this a reality? Do we think our sales associates will be replaced by robots? Well, if anything has shown us from history is probably not. There was the OSHA bot at Lowe's, didn't work out well. This is sort of a little glimpse into the graveyard of robots that we've seen over the past decade. It's probably too gimmicky. And it'll pull you in, but will it keep you coming back? That's really the key thing. Well, I think Amazon has shown us, today what the future looks like. Amazon Go, how many people have been to an Amazon Go? Okay, about I would say a little bit more than a quarter. They're rolling out very aggressively, and I'm sure if you're in New York and San Francisco, you'll see them opening even more. And so how does this work? This works with computer vision. This works with robot rovers. They actually have human associates just to show you where the app is on your phone and using mobile devices. Now, it's not just Amazon. As Laura mentioned, Walmart has robots out there. This is the Bossa Nova robot that's scanning the planogram, looking at real stock positions. So because if you're out of stock at something in Walmart, where are you going to go? You're going to go to Amazon to buy it, right? They're going to lose that sale. And it's happening at fast food and restaurants and in hotels. It's aggressively happening. And so this self-serve motion of converting menial tasks and labor tasks to computers is happening very aggressively across the country. It's not just happening in the front of the store, as Robin likes to call the middle of the store. The pressure of margins and operational margins is happening. It's happening in janitorial workers. And as you can see, this is A&K Robotics, which is out of Vancouver. There's also Brain, which is backed by SoftBank, which is doing autonomous floor scrubbers. Now you can combine that floor scrubbers with the POS position and check the planograms. At the same time, it's even happening in the bathroom. That's an automatic toilet bowl scrubber. So, really the biggest catalyst out there within the field of robotics, and Anne-Marie is going to talk more about this when she shows you that video, is in the warehouse. So in 2012, when Amazon bought Kiva Systems for $775 million. And the first thing that Amazon did was tell Kiva executives to fire their customers. They wanted it exclusive. You can see Amazon here pre-2012. Actually, when they first launched in 1997, I don't know how many of you know this, but they would fulfill their packages on roller skates across like 3 football fields. They soon realized that was not a good idea. A lot of workers' comp claims. And then they would use those carts. Now, using the Kiva system, it brings the shelving to the picker and they box it. We have an investment in Plus One Robotics that actually does the picking and could put it in the box or put it on a conveyor there. What's more is, and this is what makes Kiva and Fabric so smart, is it connects to the online performance. It connects to the retailer's sales. And so it reorganizes the warehouse based upon best sellers. So the best sellers in the perimeter and the dogs are in the interior. And it's not just in warehousing. And so this is Fabric over there that, as I said, Amazon told Kiva to fire all its customers, which has given growth to a whole bunch of new technologies. And Fabric is amazing because it's doing micro-fulfillment centers for specialty retailers that Anne-Marie could tell you more about. It's happening in shipping logistics. Once that package has left the warehouse, it has to get to you. Using AI, you can go down to the North Hall, you can see autonomous trucks, autonomous cars, delivering. This is a company owned by Uber called Otto. It's happening on the water, obviously, and it's happening in the air. That's our investment in Mana, doing last mile deliveries today for food deliveries in the UK. And so gives you a little bit of a little spectrum of how last mile deliveries. Last mile is the most expensive part of the delivery matrix. You lose a lot of money on last mile deliveries. You're wasting a lot of human hours getting it to the door. And so a lot of people are going after this. And so it's not just drones, and it's not just trucks. It's golf carts in San Francisco going at like under 15 miles per hour. It's rovers like Starship and Robbie. But I always wonder, I get my pizza. I live in Manhattan, but I get my pizza to the door, and I can just pull out there. But if I have to go out in a suburban location in the rain, in my bathrobe to get a pie of pizza for my kids, does that really make sense when I got it for free to my door? I need a robot that's capable of climbing my stairs and opening the doors. Could this be the future of delivery? This is Boston Dynamics' robot. They make a lot of great, scary robots that create a lot of dystopian hype. So, there's just something to think about. And of course, a robot presentation would be nothing about talking about robot dogs out there. And this is actually, SoftBank bought Boston Dynamics from Google, and they're commercializing robot Spot Mini there, which if you've seen Black Mirror, that definitely scares you. Okay, another big driver is personalization, bringing the goods closer to the consumer. Small batch manufacturing, and we just heard a panel about producing soles and closer to the retailer. It's ready to wear, really ready to wear, closer to the consumer. And this is happening across a multitude of verticals or a multitude of industries within apparel. And Adidas is doing that, Atrix is doing that, and there's a company called Software Automation, and a multitude of others. I think something to think about, these are sort of big ideas to think about, smart cities. Dan Doctoroff, the former deputy mayor of New York City, is founded Sidewalk Labs, which Google's an investor in, about $2 billion. They're building the city of the future up in the Toronto waterfront. As you can see, there's no cars there, and it's going to change spending and retail behaviors. And mass transit's changing, shared transportation and autonomous transportation. We definitely can use, an autonomous drone that could take us from, the sands to the convention center today. So, there's a real demand for this. This is not happening tomorrow. This is way further out. And, we didn't even talk about jobs. So that's robots in under 10 minutes. I'm sorry it took about 15 with the AV problems. I'm going to switch it back to Anne-Marie.
Great. Thanks, Oliver. That was a great introduction. So what we had prepared now, so Tina, I'm hoping we can kick off the video. Yeah, so this is a great way, Oliver and I were talking about this earlier, it's a great way to see robotics is through a video story. So this is a time lapse of what our micro-fulfillment center looks like. This is in Tel Aviv. These are production proven. So we have a grocery client. We have a CVS of Israel is also our clients called Super Farms. So this is a time-based film that shows you how we pick and order. So you can see the solution is very compact. We optimize all the height and dimension in a 3D box. So those are the totes. So you can see an order has come in. So a consumer has placed an order. We want those individual items. The software within the solution doesn't, Oliver referred to this, orders and picks the products in the most efficient way, lines them up. So let's pretend this is Oliver's order. The terminal is actually very flexible where the picker is standing, so that tote comes up, rises up to the human level. It goes through a scanning process, and then we put into the order tote on the right, and then it goes out for dispatch. So a single pick goods to person process. Now in this case, we see that it's for an individual. The use cases that we're also applying our solution to, and retailers and brands both want, is store replenishment if they're for their own stores for just-in-time inventory. So they support their own distribution network of retail stores. And then also for if you're a CPG brand, that you can do this, use this solution to support your own customer base for just-in-time inventory for their services. And there you go. And that's the use case right there, right? That in an individual consumer world, the mom has a baby on her hip and she doesn't have to leave her door, just like Oliver doesn't have to leave in his bathrobe for the pizza. So that's what we do at Common Sense Robotics. I mean, it's pretty amazing, and that's one of the reasons I joined the company, because we're solving real problems that are happening today and now. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The consumer, and I mentioned it earlier, is that Brendan, referred to this as well from Forrester in the earlier panel, is that it's about what the consumer expectation is across the board. It has nothing to do with the vertical that you're in. It's like they're comparing performance of goods and services across industries, so it's about getting goods to them faster, quicker, and meeting those expectations. So for us, it's a same day or 1 hour proposition, depending on the customers that we're dealing with. So with that, Danny, I wanted to, if we could spend a few minutes of looping you into the conversation here too, around having a brief discussion on what the views are. So you can give us a high level maybe of what your solution is, and then I know you have a presentation, but we'll chat for a few minutes maybe.
Yeah.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
So Danny Tomsett, CEO of a company called UneeQ Digital Humans. Digital humans are synthesized humans. I don't know if many of you have seen Samsung's big announcement on Neon, talking about this whole digitization of the human, because scaling humans are hard, and there's a lot of use cases where we can't deploy human resources. And unlike Samsung, we've been doing this since 2010 and been working with customers across retail, financial services, telecommunications, and healthcare, and really seeing the impact of what happens when you take digital in text form and move it into a more humanized form. Although I have to say, one of my probably highlights, just seeing the presentation earlier, like if my pizza delivery guy did a backflip after he did that, like that's customer experience at the next level.
He does that part-time and then goes to Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah. So if you can help, I would do a backflip to get a pizza.
Yeah, but customer experience is so important, as we all know, and thinking about that last battlefront and how conversation and how we interact with customers through the interfaces that exist today is this incredible opportunity. So that's what we do, and ultimately we're all about empowering creators. So creating technology that any creator can train a digital human with any amount of knowledge or ability in a very short amount of time. So think like The Matrix and Neo, how he learns Kung Fu, plugs that in. That's effectively what we're doing, but on obviously screens and interfaces, whether it be kiosk, mobile, or websites.
So that's interesting. So I think also one thing I'd say is sort of the battle between customer experience. I think customer experience gets the kind of unfortunate position of being sort of feels ethereal, right? And experience actually is a revenue generating opportunity, right?
Totally.
So I see, because I'm coming from supply chain world now, is that they think very operationally, and I'm kind of flipping the script for them, saying this is also a customer experience, right? When you can provide goods to people efficiently, effectively. And the other side of the coin is customer experience. How does that translate into profit, right? So there's only two things that anyone in this room should be caring about and does care about, is improving profit margin. So how do I make money? How do I save money? End of story. Robotics and AI and those kinds of tools are really about efficiency and creating margin, right? So in terms of what you're doing, maybe you can show us, give us, I think you have a few slides you want to show.
Yeah, should I just jump
Yeah,
up onto
that'd
that?
be great.
I might stand as well. Was there a clicker?
You're right there. Just flip it.
Great. Awesome. All right. Let's see if we can get this. Okay. No problem. So I've just touched on this now, but absolutely, the analysts, everyone kind of agrees this statement now, and I think we're seeing great execution. And if we just look at Amazon's disruption in retail already, you can see the effect of the customer experience having a much bigger impact than just products. Next slide. Great. So a lot of people ask me, why does a digital human, I'm going to do a demo soon so you'll be able to see what a digital human is, but they ask me, why a digital human? And ultimately, when we thought about trying to solve this problem of creating better emotional connection, human touch in the digital world, actually, fundamentally, it's the human science behind why digital humans work. See, really simply, our brains are divided into two. We have left brain, which is analytical, logical. This is where we are processing a lot of the decisions in a logical manner. And then we have right brain, which is our emotion, our feeling, our heart. These are the things that are affecting the way that we connect to a brand. Ever wonder why you're so loyal to Apple and all these other devices that you might have the super strong brand loyalty? It's because it's created feelings through marketing, through the interaction, through the whole journey. And when we think about what we do really well as humans, is the reason why you're even here coming to see someone speak. It's because you like the connection of body language and the emotional connection. You can test the authenticity. You can test whether there's a connection when we make eye contact. It's all right brain activity going. The crazy thing about society is we spent the last 10 years taking the human out of the process. So much of our interaction is digital, online forms, online banking, all these things that have very little right brain interaction. Welcome to the world of digital humans. It's going to change that. We're going to bring back the human connection into digital scale, whether that's even aged care, healthcare, whether that's retail and store with product geniuses, whether that's e-commerce and saying, hey, you like this kind of wine? How about this kind of wine? This is so good and you should try it. Let me hook you up with some good connections. These are the things that right brain's going to affect. Next line. So we've been doing a whole lot of different things in retail, and one of the things we realized was actually the brand ambassador part of digital humans. We can embody brand in a way that's never been done before as well. It's nothing new that we've used celebrities or we've created Geico geckos and all sorts of things as brand ambassadors before, but never before have we connected that directly with our customer base to actually interact and ask questions. Being a Kiwi, I have to put an All Black in here, but this is something that, again, Adidas and the All Blacks are working through on some pretty exciting stuff. And e-commerce, advice around best sports equipment and boot wear. Next slide. It's another example of some of the work that we're looking at in store as well. So omni-channel is very important, just in the same way that we've seen it important in digital, physical, online, etc. Digital humans can extend to that. Imagine someone as a digital human remembering the conversation you had in store, going online and helping provide those key insights that the digital human took from the in-store conversation to an e-commerce buying decision. Next slide. So there's a couple of videos that should be playing. This is a video here. I just want to show you this quickly.
I'm the new digital barista in town. Bella. Sorry, I only make one coffee at a time, but they're still pretty good.
How about a latte?
So I've got you down for a latte. If that's all, please place your cup on the mark and check the milk dial is at min froth. Let me know when you're ready.
Hang on, make it a long black instead, please.
No problem, so you want a long black. If you don't have any tweaks to your order, can you line your cup up with the mark?
So there's another video example.
Hi, I'm the new
Not the same one. There's another video example that we should have in there as well. If not, that's okay. We'll keep going. Cool. Okay, we'll jump back to the Vodafone slide, the one before. So the interesting thing about that, you might be familiar with like Cafe X, robotic coffee, self-service coffee, things like that. That example there was actually a low-cost coffee machine with an API, and the team, that individual that's in that video, did that integration in one day. So it turned a coffee machine into a full customer experience, ordering coffee in one day. And that's the power of AI and the technology, is it's ready to plug into data sources really quick. Some of our customers, I'll just tell you a couple of stories, like Vodafone, thinking about retail traffic. One of the challenges you think about telecommunications in retail is there's a lot of service-based traffic, and they want their human staff doing a lot of the sales-based traffic. So how do you get customers to not use the human staff for the service-based top-ups, my phone's broken, et cetera, et cetera. So they had 13% of customers using digital channels in store. Put a digital human in, 93% went to the digital human for all service inquiries. Next slide. This here is NOLA, and NOLA is, so this is a retail experience. NOLA was designed to help customers understand, very similar for a store, it's called Noel Leeming, it's the largest electronics retailer in New Zealand. But NOLA actually, if you think, say, Walmart or Target, similar problem. So many different products. How do you find the right product? Where do you go quickly? NOLA today was available in kiosks, but now rolling out also onto mobile app. So it can actually navigate you with wayfinding to the products and services while answering questions about the products and services. Next step is plugging into the manufacturers of the products so they get consistent high-value sales advice to that. And we call that the product genius. Next slide. Really fun thing about NOLA is, each kiosk on average was doing over 3,000 interactions a day. So during the Christmas period, I should say. So it was a busy time, but that's pretty amazing just how people are interacting with digital humans and loving it. Things like surveys coming through, the average NPS across this at various locations was 51, like miles above current NPS in other channels. And that's, I thought I had one more, but that's all right. That's pretty much what I wanted to share around the examples and what we're doing.
Great, thanks. So Danny, if you could join us, we just want to do a quick little chit-chat around robotics. So Oliver, given what you just saw there, what are your impressions of experience versus kind of robotics in the retail world?
So I think, one of the first things at retail with deploying technology, and we're in this weird space in retail, just taking a step back. It was reported last year on Core Insight that retail store closures were at an all-time high last year, about, I think, over 9,000 store closures. But what that report didn't mention is that retail tech spending is also at an all-time high. And so we're seeing this transformation. And with any time you deploy technology across any vertical, are you just doing it for the sake of technology, to be, sort of gimmicky and, to pull people in, but when you pull people in, you got to get them to come back. So yeah, if you put a Pepper robot in the front of the store, I'll give you an example. Microsoft did that, and HSBC did that in the front of their bank branches in Manhattan. Just this is a qualitative study, my own walking study, and slowly that Pepper robot went to the corner of the store because it was interrupting traffic flow, and then eventually it was on the charging station, and eventually it went to the stock room. And Pepper, I hope no one's here from SoftBank, but is kind of in a noisy environment, does not really interact well. So or is it a transactionary experience? So what Danny's talking about is in that transaction moment where you're not looking for, say, a human engagement, but you're looking to, just get to the bottom of what shoes should I have? What phone service is right for me and my family? I don't want to wait in line. And I think there's also a generational thing going on, is that people that have been brought up on mobile devices actually want to be want to really transact very quickly. They don't want to have a whole conversation to get to the point. While people that haven't are used to, having a conversation, learning about what this person's perspective is to be a trusted advisor. So I think, what you're doing makes a lot of sense in those kiosks and on the mobile devices. But as buyers of these technologies, you got to ask yourself, are we doing it, just to stay fresh and deploy technology for the sake of technology, or are we doing it to really drive revenues and improve margin performance?
Yeah, and I'd say, from our perspective, you and I have talked about it, 100% agree. It's what is the purpose-driven, intent of deploying any technology in the retail space? So, I walked the robotics floor. I didn't really see anything I was super excited about, to be honest with you. For us, when we look at it, it's if you're over-real estated in your network, how do you now convert that, right? So from a micro-fulfillment perspective, you could create dark stores. You can still, I've talked about this for several years, even before joining the company, is what is your brand about? Who are you and what are you about? So it's not just about getting goods and services, it's about how you do it, what you represent, and the customer experience that goes with that. So, when you optimize, real estate is only part of the equation. Store associates are part of the equation. So how do you use these tools and technologies for optimization of the experience. So Danny, I'm going to let you, I'm getting the wrap it up, but we did, I think we did a very good job with the time that we had here. We got a lot in despite all of the challenges. So Danny, I'm going to let you have I'm going to have the last word, I think. It's just how I roll, but I want you to have the almost last word.
Right.
Yeah,
so
wrap it up.
So look, I just maybe just flow on from what you guys are saying. I think, it's easy to think about the transactional approach to what you're doing with commerce and retail. I think as we talked about that battlefront of customer experience or brand experience, how do you create a brand connection when we're moving customers more and more through this transactional process? And you've got to be thinking about the edge, the differentiation, and what the brand stands for, and how do you inject that. And humans have done this so well. If you think about some of the best experiences, think about how we've personalized to someone. If you've had the best sales agent just give you some help, so all those types of things that bring that together. And then the reality of technology today and being realistic about what it can do. Like Pepper's a great example. Maybe my parting word, my best Pepper story, is watching a kid stand in front of Pepper to get a photo in front of Mum, and Pepper just clipped the kid across the back of the head. And I went, well, digital humans are probably the first step, I think.
And with that, I want to thank everybody, thank Oliver, thank Danny, and thank you for bearing with us through our technical difficulties. And enjoy the rest of CES. We're all available online, so please use your booklets to reach out. And we'd love to talk to you more about robotics. Thanks so much.